That's right, we are revisiting the OhSnap grip because the first thing that I want to do is say, hey, my last review may not be entirely 100% accurate to everyone's experiences with the OhSnap Grip 5. After it came out, I saw lots of people agree with it, and then I saw lots of people disagree with it in the comments, and another reviewer who watches this channel also reviewed the 5 versus the 4, and I watched that. Big shout out to Let's Talk Daily Tech. I will throw a link down there for him. But he found the 5 magnets to be stronger than the 4, and I was just like, huh. And sure enough, like, he shook it, the 4 fell off, the 5 did not. And that's pretty surprising to me, given my tests. So I poked around on the internet and found lots of people saying the magnets were weak and lots of people saying the magnets were much stronger, and none of that made any sense to me whatsoever. So I went ahead and got another one to see if the original one was defective in some way. You may recall from my first video, but I will of course throw a little snippet of it in here. One thing I do think is interesting is if you look closely, you see right there? It says Luxe 4 or Snap 4. That is the 5. Snap 4, it no longer has the Luxe 4 back. So that was the first thing I found extremely interesting. So something must have gone wrong in the whole manufacturing process. I poked around a bit online and asked questions of everyone who's mentioned that they had a 5, seeing whether or not the back said 4 or the 5, and to sort of cross-examine that with how strong the magnets were, in their opinion, on the back. And it was pretty much set that if it said 4, the magnets were bad. So that is incredibly anecdotal, but it is what I found, and also what I noticed online doing reading on Reddit and stuff, which is, you know, what led me to do this review again. So take this with a grain of salt. I suppose if you get one and it says 4 on the back and it stinks, I would return it. And if you don't, awesome. Second thing, since we were just going to do a straight up review comparison again, one thing that I had meant to measure last time and forgot. All right, so that's 20.1 millimeters. So it extends 20.1 up. I'm sort of curious about the comfort level. This is one thing I forgot to test in the first video. I believe, feeling them both, that the 5 is just a bit less pinchy. It is a little bit more comfortable than the 4. So that is interesting. Let's see, it's 20.1 millimeters up. How high is the 4? 19.87. So it's like maybe a touch bigger, but I think it's also made out of a slightly different material. Maybe that's their soft touch thing that they talk about. It is slightly more comfortable. I wouldn't say it's comfortable, but it is slightly more comfortable than its predecessor. And here is where it gets interesting, at least in my estimation. And if you watched my live stream this past week, you've already seen this test. And this is kind of where I was like, what is going on? By the way, do not do this with your OhSnap. There's a fairly good chance it'll break, but for science, you know? 22.1. I forgot I had an overhead camera there for a second. We'll go ahead and do one more pull, because I'm really not interested in breaking this, but one more should be sufficient. But it does specifically say not to pull the OhSnap grip off straight up, so much better to slide it off. $25.6. And the best we got when I was doing it on live was 30, which is so much more than I got the first time, which is, I want to say 12 or 14. Something very small. Well, comparatively small. That's still a decent grip, MagSafe wise. And the 4, $16, 15.5. Pretty consistent. And this is, of course, the 4 with the adhesive removed. Now, the adhesive is another difference between the 4 and the 5. The 5 does not have it, the 4 does. Some would say this is an improvement. I don't think it is. I mean, I took the adhesive off of mine. It took me 5 minutes while I was driving after I got it. So, not really that big a deal. Just kind of used my thumbnail, didn't even use a special tool. Basically, it just eliminates options. I honestly don't think it's a big deal. It's a very minor difference. I think it was better with it on, but honestly, moving forward, everything's gonna have MagSafe, so I can see why they were just like, we won't bother anymore. The other findings from the prior review hold the same. This is still, the 4 is still 2.5 millimeters. The 3 is 3.0 millimeters. It is not noticeable which one is bigger, not really. The 5 is slightly strong, like slightly bulkier, slightly heavier. Coming in at 19 grams instead of 13 grams, so 6 grams heavier. Again, not something you're probably going to notice. Oh, I guess it does have the reverse polarity thing going on. Okay, that's still strange. Doesn't feel like it's as strong. And the 4 still does that not at all? Yeah, the 4 still does that not at all. Honestly, I'm half tempted to just chop up the parts of the review that are still good and throw them into this one, just to make it comprehensive. Hey, Editor Steve here, chiming in, saying I'm going to go ahead and do just that, because I definitely forgot a few things. If you look on the phone here, you can see the camera bump there, and that there, and that's insane. The new version is about 0.5 millimeter thicker than the old. And the only thing I can think of for that being the case is because the new version has this plastic thing going around the inside, whereas the old version is just paper. Just like a cardboardy type thing. Which I imagine if it got wet in a certain, maybe it fell apart. Yeah, I could easily rip this. It comes up in this little like plasticky pyramid type thing. And you can stick your finger through it, or you can hold it like this. It spins, which is kind of neat. The little middle part spins. The magnet, the outer rim magnets do not. It goes into one of these little stand dealios. Unfortunately, if you've got a fold, it's not useful. It also doesn't really work for portrait mode, which is, again, unfortunate, but the fact that it works for landscape is a nice little bonus. These double-sided magnetic grips, possibly one of the best accessories you can have for the Z Fold 7. You put one of these guys on there, and suddenly you can put your larger MagSafe accessories on again. They both do magnetic charge through. In general, the Z Fold 7 cases are worse at charge through than the 25 Ultra, but here's the 5. And we have that first number, 1 hour 41. That second number, 1 hour 15. That means that it's getting the Qi 2 charging. With the old grip, same thing, 141, 115. You can check out the old review here in that card. Stronger magnets, slightly more comfortable. Stronger front magnets. I should go test that. All right, so welcome to probably the worst quality video you'll ever see on this channel. Fridge test for the 5. As you can see, it stays on there, but it is loose. I saw someone say that theirs failed the fridge test. Mine is not failing it. 4. As you can see, the magnets on that are a little bit stronger, as it is still stuck to the bridge. I'm going to call it a draw, because while the 4's magnets are stronger, they're so strong that they wind up sticking to whatever they're sticking to instead of the foam, and that's kind of annoying. This certainly changes my estimation of which between the 4 and the 5 are superior. The 4 is at least consistent. The 5, well, I guess you don't know what you're going to get. Hopefully they figured out whatever quality control problems they had and knocked them out after the first shipment went out with whatever the hay happened. I just remembered I asked them for comment.
Editor Steve here, just chiming in that they never responded.
So yeah, I'd say the 5 is mildly more comfortable. The 5 has weaker front magnets, which is somehow simultaneously a good and a bad thing. The 4 has stronger front magnets. The 5 has stronger back magnets, so it stays attached to the foam better. The 4 comes with the adhesive, which for some is a good and for some is a bad thing. With the 5, you might have to return it if you get one of the duds. So yeah, assuming they have their act together now and whatever manufacturing or quality control issues have been fixed, the 5 is certainly small but noticeable improvement over the 4, just from the back magnet strength and the fact that I do think, I really do think that it's more comfortable now that I've spent more time with it. And if you wanted to check out the old review, that is again there. Or you can watch this playlist to see all sorts of other MagSafe accessories. I've been Steve. This has been another Purple Room review. Keeping ourselves honest here in the Purple Room. I will see you in the next one.